You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
Fast ship. Never heard of the William Paul?
Should I have?
It's the ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
What a piece of junk!
Covering Star Wars vehicles in less than 12 parsecs, this is Start Your Engines.
Don't get technical with me.
Here are your hosts, Paul Naylor and Mark Newbold.
You're listening to Start Your Engines. I'm your co-host, Mark Newbold, and joining me today is my favourite co-pilot. It's Paul Naylor. How are you, Paul?
Oh, favourite co-pilot. I'm blushing. Loving life. Yourself?
Good. I'm very good. I'm looking forward to talking about the ship we're going to talk about today.
It's got some special meaning for us, hasn't it? I mean,
Very, very special meaning. It's the StarSpeeder 3000. It's the ship that you ride when you do Star Tours.
What a ship to talk about.
What a ship. So, before we get into any of the much needed technical details, when you think of the StarSpeeder, what's your first thought? What's your first memory?
Yeah. Well, my first memory of it is I remember seeing it years ago in adverts. I think it might have even been a cousin of mine was a member of Bantha Tracks.
Yes.
And I think I saw an article in there about it. I think it made the cover.
Yep.
And I do recall seeing that. So when would that have been?
That was 87, I think. If I remember the very last issue, I think it was issue 36 of Bantha Tracks, announced Star Tours.
Yeah. A few years later, my first actual experience of riding it would have been at Disneyland Paris. And that would have been around 2002, something like that, 2002, 2003. And even then, it blew my mind. So when was your first experience of it?
Mine was same as you, because I used to collect Bantha Tracks as well.
Yeah.
So reading about it in that last issue, not knowing it was the last issue, of course.
Yeah.
But my first trip to the States was 93. So we went to Orlando. So we did the original, like you would have done. We did the original Star Tours. Which was the StarSpeeder 3000. Of course, when you do Star Tours now, it's the StarSpeeder 1000, which is a previous version of the StarSpeeder. But of course, the current Star Tours: The Adventure Continues, the reboot, if you like, is set earlier than this version of Star Tours. This is no T1. That one covers everything. So 93, so went with the family. Obviously, for me, even then, it was all about Star Wars and anything Star Wars or Star Trek or Indy or anything related to that. So doing Star Tours, as I remember, we did it 2 or 3 times. And as I say, it was this version of the StarSpeeder. It was the 3000. It was the white one with the blue stripe.
Yes. I think if I remember correctly, I think 3PO spoke in French.
In Paris, he did.
In Paris, he would have done.
He didn't do that so much in Orlando, but he did do it over there.
I mean, he's well versed in more than 6,000 forms of communication, I believe. But French, he was he was bang on with that. I haven't got much memory of what it was like. I was very much still into Star Wars, but it was almost a bonus that I saw that. I remember being more impressed about the full-size X-Wing that was not far from it.
I'm trying to think. The last time I went, I think it was 2016 or 17 when Seasons of the Force was on.
Okay, so quite recently. I remember thinking that was pretty cool, but we were on a pretty tight schedule, so I only actually rode it the once. Cut to many years later, Orlando in 2017 at Star Wars Celebration. And that was rather special because you were on holiday there at the time.
We were already there with the family for a 2-week holiday, and they very, very coolly said, yep, you step away from the family holiday, do celebration for 3 days. And I should have. It turned out they were like, you could have done the 4 days, it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
Which they told me that after we got home.
Yeah.
But hey ho.
I don't know who it was that organised it, but basically we got to go on it. We were like that scene in Snow White where the dwarfs come round 15 times to say hello to Snow White.
So I would guess, and this is just a guess, but I would guess that probably had something to do with Big Kev.
I would guess so.
Fairly confidently say, yes.
He can get where water can't.
He can. He can.
But that was brilliant. And obviously in 2017, had it just had the update?
The update was that when they did the changeovers was back in 2011 or 12. They did the last ride to Endor at Celebration 5, which is when the old Star Tours closed, and then it did the refurb. So the refurbished version with the different ship, the StarSpeeder 1000 was then. That's when they did that big turnover.
But that's a particular fond memory of mine of that whole trip. Just a bunch of Very
Idiots.
middle-aged idiots, just going round and round and round again, trying desperately to get Hoth.
I was literally, I was raising my finger to say it was all about doing Hoth. And we, Fantha, myself and Matt and Brian managed to get over to Japan, and we did Star Tours at Tokyo Disneyland over there, and we did get Hoth.
Yeah.
We were thrilled to bits we got Hoth. We got Tatooine, we got, they were doing the whole Purgle thing from Ahsoka.
Brilliant.
So we did that. That was on every ride. We did it about 5 or 6 times. Similar thing, we just kept going round and round and round.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about getting Hoth.
I mean, it's great that over the years it's been updated.
Yes.
Certainly, I think probably when I first saw it, I think that it wouldn't matter how many times you went on that ride, you just got that one version of it. I don't think it was randomised back then.
I don't believe it was.
In the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
But certainly by the time we got to Florida in 2017 and went on the ride, then yes, you got a very randomised selection of planets to visit.
And the holograms change now.
Yeah.
They're the person. Sometimes it's Vader's there, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's Kylo.
It's Fett, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. They do change it.
Yeah. Interestingly, you mentioned Japan. Did 3PO speak in Japanese?
He certainly did. And I said to the guys, and I was wrong.
Yeah.
And I would put good money on Anthony just learning Japanese just so he could say that he did it. But he didn't. It was some other guy. But it would have been brilliant if it had been him speaking.
You can imagine him giving it a bash.
Completely.
Perhaps he did, and it just didn't work.
Maybe.
I'm Anthony Daniels, and you are listening to Fantha Tracks. Well done.
Obviously, the other beauty of this thing is that, and I think even with the Paris version, and like they do with a lot of rides these days at theme parks, is that they put some interesting stuff in the queue.
Yes.
So that when you're in the queue, you're not bored waiting 2 hours to get on a ride.
Yeah.
But certainly Rex
is a bit of a superstar, so there's a whole history to that. Should we get into some of the techie stuff?
Go on.
So the StarSpeeder 3000s were very similar to their predecessors, the StarSpeeder 1000s, in shape and equipment. It was boxy, it had a downward angled front side, but it still had the 5 automated doors to allow access for us lucky earthbound passengers. It had 5 seated rows. The 3000 could be boarded by no more than 40 passengers. When it was maxed out, you're always in 40 people with you. Astromet Droid was loaded into a socket at the bow, so hence R2. Yeah. Unlike the StarSpeeder 1000, the 3000 lacks several features, such as the IC360 camera droid and multi-terrain skids. Mm-hmm. So, Rex, those transports were normally piloted by an RX series pilot droid, assisted by its Astromet Droid navigator. Fast and manoeuvrable for a transport. I mean, that's one of the things. As soon as Star Tours leaves port and we suddenly get thrown into the adventure, immediately we're racing away from the ship. In the old version, Rex was your pilot. Yeah. Now it's 3PO in the modern version. Rex now works at Ogre's Cantina at Galaxy's Edge.
He's busy.
Which I kind of love.
But don't you think there's like a nice, interesting little link, and I think probably done on purpose, that in Skeleton Crew, the school bus is driven by a Rex droid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's almost a nod back to the StarSpeeder.
To me, you're absolutely right. To me, Rex in Star Wars is a bit like the Johnny Cab in Total Recall.
I thought that as well.
Yeah. It's got that vibe about it.
Yeah.
That you would see him around all sorts of places, especially when there's kids.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like a microphone with eyes. That's how I look at him. I look at him as like... well, I'm looking at the microphone in front of me here. He's kind of got that grill vibe to him, and he's very much a stripped-down basic droid. It's almost like a robot, in inverted commas, that a child would draw.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what the idea is. It's a comforting thing to have him driving school kids, or kids of a school age.
And he's got that short-circuit vibe as well, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
So, given that there's a lower risk generally with intergalactic tourism and vehicles flying around like this, it was equipped with minimal deflector shields, 2 very basic laser cannons. Although they pack a punch, you see them take out TIE fighters on Star Tours. The tour brochure indicates that the hyperdrive, or as they used to call it, the warp drive, what were they thinking?
Warp drive?
Seriously, they refer to it as warp drive.
No.
Heresy. It was fairly advanced because obviously it's a tourist ship. It was, for its size, it was very, very quick. Despite the agency's claim that the ships themselves were highly advanced, they were often in need of repair. Now this is, as I say, this is the 3000. The ones that we travel on these days is the 1000. A little bit sleeker, weirdly, even though it's canonically before it. The StarSpeeders were used by Star Tours starting around 4 years after the Battle of Yavin. So you're talking around about Return of the Jedi time. And eventually we used during their push to capitalise on the newfound notoriety of Endor and the Endor Express route. After a series of mishaps in the following months, including a StarSpeeder's accidental involvement in a space battle, which is what we get involved with as the passengers, the tour company shuts down. So that's the eventual fate of Star Tours. I love it when you do see a StarSpeeder.
Yeah.
You know, you see one, you mentioned Skeleton Crew, you see one at Port Borgo in Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
You know, whenever you see these vehicles around, it instantly catches your eye.
Yeah, and it is quite a simplistic look. It's basically a block with a little bit of tapered nose to it here and there.
Very much so.
And it's become quite a collectible collectible vehicle over the years as well. I mean, I don't know whether I own one at the moment, but certainly had a little die-cast one on a card back.
Yeah.
That was like a deep red.
Yeah.
And then...
That's the 1000.
That's right. And quite recently, there was the version that came out for the vintage collection, which you got 3PO and R2 with, I believe.
So that one is an interesting one. So it was made by Disney. You could get it in... Excuse me. You could get it in the parks.
You probably still can.
I very luckily got hold of one. Richard Mitchell ordered one, and it came damaged. So they sorted out, they corrected the error they'd made, and he sold me the damaged one, which actually really wasn't that damaged.
No.
So I got that for an absolute steal. He kept the Rex. There was a carded Rex with it, so he kept the Rex. I wasn't bothered about having a Rex. He's since found me a Rex figure that would go in perfectly fine anyway. And you can just load up your figures in there, and it's got a video screen.
And does it play?
It plays the original Star Tours.
Does it?
On the little video screen.
Wow, that's
it's
cool.
Fantastic.
That is cool. So what do you do? Turn the lights down and watch it?
Yeah. It's got lights, it's got sounds, it's got all sorts of stuff to use USB in. It sits on a really nice stand. I've got it at a really cool angle, and it looks brilliant. And they've announced that they're doing a StarSpeeder 1000 as well.
I don't think I've seen that at yours.
You need to come over and see it, because I'll plug it all in and show you. all the roof comes off, the top of the ship comes off.
It's like a collector's case almost. It's almost
amazing.
like the Rebel troop transporter, isn't it? Yeah. But
oh man, if you'd have had this when we were kids, you could have got your hands on this. You'd have blown him on. I don't know how many kids today would be that invested in Star Tours. I think most kids now would be far more interested in Smuggler's Run and Rise of the Resistance. To me, Star Tours is still the best ride.
Yeah. Now, you did the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser.
The Halcyon.
Was this referred to at any point during your stay there?
That's a very good question. I want to say yes, but I couldn't swear to it. I think it was referred to peripherally, because the Halcyon and that whole line of the Chandrilla line is high end. Star Tours is your Greyhound or your Megabus by comparison to that being, I
like that analogy.
So and that was just opulence all round, and I think we've done an episode on the Halcyon in the past, if I remember. And it's certainly something I would happily return to in the future, because I hope there is a future for that whole project.
I think there'll be something.
It's so sad that it's not. But thank goodness we've still got Star Tours in multiple locations.
Yes. So where have we got it now? We've got it in Japan?
We've got it in Japan, we've got it in Paris, we've got it in Anaheim and Orlando. I don't believe it's in the other two parts. I don't think it's in Hong Kong, and I don't think it's in Shanghai, but I'm happily be corrected if they are.
You've been on all 4 of those in recent times.
Yeah.
Are they all comparable?
Yeah, very much. I mean, there's no real difference, to be fair.
Other than the Japanese language for 3PO or the French.
Yeah, I think that's the only real difference. Everything else, the cab is the same, the presentation is the same, the experience is no real difference. But it's, whenever you get to go in there, it's just a thrill, because I think also it's the first real big tangible partnership between Lucasfilm and Disney.
Yes, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, because it was only in recent years that we got things like Smuggler's Run and The Rise of Resistance.
I mean, that's been around 5 years now.
Yeah. And as great as both of those rides are, there's something special still about Star Tours.
Massively.
I think it's because it does feel more of a shared experience, because you've got so many people in there.
Agreed. I think it's definitely that, because you're often with friends, but you're usually surrounded by strangers, but everybody gets into it. And it doesn't matter how many times. I mean, I try to work out, what a nerd I am. I try and keep a list of everywhere I've been and everything I've done, and I've got my geek CV, I call it, of all the things I've done, and I try to work out how many times I've done Star Tours. Not just visited Orlando and counted it once, but how many times did I do it that day? Because most days when we go past it, if there's not a big queue, it's like, can we do Star
Let's just
Tours?
do it,
And we just
yeah.
go in and do it. I came up with a rough figure. I think I've probably done it 50, 60 times.
Yeah.
I couldn't put a finger on an exact figure, but knowing that when we go in, we do it. If there's not much of a queue, Ruth will be like, come
Yeah.
on, let's do it again. Because you rarely get the same world.
Yeah.
You often, in Japan you did. It was a special event thing. They made sure you always did the Purgle one and went around that. And it was pretty much a similar thing. But you always did that and then an other planet.
Yeah.
We did 6 rides, and I think 3 times you did the pod race.
Yes.
Well, that's no hardship. That's a fantastic ride,
exactly,
isn't it?
Yeah.
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video, and social media feeds, bookmark FanthaTracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
What was the link to get a Star Wars ride in a Disney park back in the 90s?
It's 87 it owned, and I don't think from memory, and now you're prompting me to want to go back and read that issue of Bantha Tracks, because I'm sure it's gone into in great detail in that. I think from memory though, it was purely the fact that George was at Disneyland the second day that it was open, the original park, because Lucas was a Disney kid.
Yeah.
Bob Iger at that point was kind of, I think, courting Lucas a little bit, because it's, Disney was purebred Disney. I think Star Wars, and again, I could be wrong, but from memory, I think Star Wars was the first sort of external thing that kind of came into the park.
'Cause I can't
Universal
think of any-
did it,
Yeah.
but Disney didn't. So I think it was the first external thing.
Yeah, I can't think of any other license that's actually been a part of Disney before it was part of Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense now that Disney owns Star Wars that it's going to use that stuff. And I can remember you and I back in 2012, which we'd known each other a little while. We were very excited at the prospect of all the rides, or maybe even a Star Wars theme park.
Oh,
happening.
blimey, yeah.
Yeah, and I still feel kind of cheated that we've not got what we really deserve.
Tom Hodges, the artist, who's a great bloke and a great artist, he put together a Disneyland, like a Star Wars land map years and years ago, and it was really well done, very much in the style of the guide that you get, little
Central
tripod
hub and then all these different things.
all
coming
of
off
that.
it. Yeah.
And I admire, and I love Galaxy's Edge, and I admire the effort to do something new. But
Something's better than nothing. It's just it could be better. I
yeah,
think.
and I think also the Galaxy's Edge, I'm going off topic a little bit, but Galaxy's Edge was kind of predicated on the love that was felt definitely for the OT, and increasingly over the years for the prequel trilogy, transferring to the sequel trilogy. And I think in time it will. It's just a cyclical thing. There were kids when Force Awakens came out, and now 10 years older, and yada yada, and they started to have kids, and it'll come round. But that's almost too late for Galaxy's Edge, hooking people in as much as they should with Batuu.
Yeah.
But I really like the location, but I can't pretend to not wish that. I wish that was Mos Eisley.
Yeah. They have kind of backed down a little bit that in recent times. We've now got Luke Skywalker at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
More recently, we've had things like The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So they've strayed away from the sequel.
Yeah,
trilogy.
I think what they're doing is that canonically, timeline-wise, it was set between 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And I think now they've loosened that off a little bit. I think the thing that will really highlight that, and it's a weird thing to point out, but I think this is what will happen. You'll see the radar dish on the Falcon change.
Do you know, it's going to happen on the run-up to or around the time of the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
And then you'll start getting Han, Luke and Leia. And
I think now, as a location, Batuu, they've established Batuu's been around for forever and a day.
Yeah.
So if they've got Han and Chewie or Luke and Leia or whoever they've got walking around the park, what was the latest one they added to the park? Might have been Andor. They've added some other characters, I think. So other characters are walking around the park, and that's great as an encounter thing for the fans. And also, especially with the Galactic Star Cruiser thing not panning out as they hoped, that was very canonically tied to Galaxy's Edge. Now that's not a thing. The necessity for it to be as hooked in isn't quite there.
We're talking about all this stuff that sort of has spun off from our thoughts on the StarSpeeder. But what it comes down to is the fact that you can create something that's not part of the films that becomes as important to you, like Batuu did, But it all starts back with the StarSpeeder.
Completely that. The StarSpeeder, if you only watch the movies, for example, you're not going to see the StarSpeeder, or you're not going to spot the StarSpeeder. You might have a keen eye and pick it up at the end of episode 9 and pick it up in the Citizens Fleet.
Yeah.
But you probably won't. But if you're into the whole thing of Star Wars, you realise that StarSpeeder 3000 and the 1000 are massively important.
Yeah. Now, the amount of times you've been on StarSpeeder across all these different continents, have you ever been the spy?
Yes, once.
Just the once.
Once. Now, this was weird. When we did Japan, there was 5 of us.
Yeah.
There's me, Richard Mitchell, Matt, Brian, and Big Kev. One ride, Kevin organised it, so it was literally just the 5 of us. And we one of us each sat in each of the rows.
Yeah.
And got a great photograph of that. But of the 5 of us on that trip, 3 of us were the spy. Not me. Kev was, from memory, I think Kev was, Brian was, and Matt was.
Yeah.
So me and Richard weren't, but I could be getting that slightly mixed up. It certainly wasn't me. Might have been Richard, but 3 of the 5 of us were the spy. I was the spy. Wow. I think it was probably when we went to Orlando for Celebration 6.
Yeah.
And I annoyingly wasn't quick enough with my phone to get a picture of it, but I have been the spy.
I've not been the spy.
It's the best moment. It's the best moment. We need to get through these technical specifications.
Yeah.
Technical specifications.
So it was manufactured by Sacul Airspace. You'll never guess where they got that name from.
Engine specs.
The stats on this are very basic.
Yeah.
They've never really gone into any great detail, so it's quite a light technical specification list. It has thrusters.
Hyperdrive system.
Hyperdrive range, I love this, 1 billion light years.
Ooh.
So that is a mule of a hyperdrive.
Yeah.
That's just going to keep going regardless. It's obviously equipped with a hyperdrive system. It has shields.
Navigation system.
It has a Navcom navigation system.
Weapons specs.
2 laser cannons, an RX series pilot, Droid Rex, who is now, of course, our resident DJ at Ogre's Cantina. It has the Astromech droid and it carries 40 passengers. Other than that, it's got a landing gear, forward lights, a fuel pressure gauge, which feels like a Temple of Doom joke, and it's a passenger transport affiliated with Star Tours. That, pretty much, is your technical specifications.
Yeah.
I'll run through it quickly because there's no more to it than that. But in canon, it was a canonical vehicle in current canon right now, but also in Legends. Its first appearance was Star Tours back in 1987. But it was also in the Star Wars Adventure Journal issue 15 in the story 2 for 1.
Brilliant.
Which is great. The Western Games era. It also gets mentioned in Spectre of the Past, quite near the end of the Bantam era of the Star Wars novelisation, before Del Rey imprint took the book back. In canon, it's mentioned in Star Wars Hunters, which sadly didn't last that long. It was quite fun, Star Wars Hunters. It's mentioned in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and it's also in the Hyperspace Lounge. Hyperspace Lounge is on one of the Disney cruises, the place where you can buy the $15,000 drink.
Have you done a Disney cruise?
No, and I'm itching to do a Disney cruise. I really am.
Maybe that'll be the one we'll do.
Maybe that's where we do it. Maybe that's where we do it.
I'm just thinking in The Mandalorian where he actually goes on a bus, if you like, a bus.
Yeah.
Is that based on or loosely linked to the StarSpeeder in any way?
I would think so. And it surprises me when you have public transport in Star Wars that Star Tours isn't what they use to do it.
Yeah.
Because, okay, it might seem like a little nod, wink, in-joke thing, but it's right there.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you have that be your regular, we've got to get from A to B, not on planet, but externally, from sector to sector, which is in Star Wars terms pretty local.
It's great because Star Wars is great at retrofitting things into different things. It would have been nice if that had turned up, say, in Andor, dropping the journalists off.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, with a Rex droid steering it or something,
Yeah.
Hey, it's Kyle Newman, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
You mentioned earlier some of the collectibles. We mentioned the larger version, the Disney version that's come out, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
You mentioned the small diecast ones. Between ourselves and friends of ours, there is quite a few versions of the StarSpeeder. There's a 6-inch version that's on almost like a wheeled version.
Yes.
They did a larger, about a foot-long version of the 1000, which is really nice.
And,
it does make plenty of noises.
Yeah.
Also, and there is, as you said, there's a Disney version of the 1000 coming fairly soon as well, which is going to be gorgeous, and hopefully that'll have some of the video screen stuff from the current iterations. They've also It's sort of spun out into other material. There's some really nice posters that were made back in the day for Star Tours.
Yeah.
Postcards as well.
Was that the one that finished, was on the last issue of Panther Tracks?
Yeah.
There was a particularly nice graphic that supported the launch of it.
There was.
Yeah.
With R2 and 3PO and the speeder behind it and the logo swooping past. Yeah. So they've done a beautiful job with Star Tours over the years, and I think they honour that nicely now. I think it'd be very easy for Star Tours as a concern to kind of get lost in the mix.
Yeah.
Especially when you think where it is in Orlando.
So detached, isn't it?
It is. Else, and you kind of wish that they could, they can't, but you kind of wish that they could kind of pick it up, lift it and shift it and drop it into Galaxy's Edge.
Is the Orlando the one that's got the AT-AT walker?
You got the AT-AT and the Endor trees and that outside.
Yeah. It does seem a shame to displace it, doesn't it? But, keeping it where it is... people know where it is now.
Yeah.
I don't know about yourself, but you think, this is quite a tame ride. Then when you're actually on it,
man,
it throws you about like crazy, doesn't it? It's like being on a booking Bronco.
So that 3 times when you're drunk. It really does. It throws you around. It's noisy. Yeah. The crowd's whooping. Yeah. If you get a good, the guide that sits you down, checks your seatbelts. If you get, sometimes they're a bit placid. Sometimes they're end of shift.
Yeah.
Generally, they're really up for it, and they really get you hyped. So when they're shutting the door, everyone's clapping and whooping, and then the lights are down. It's
almost like one of the first sort of 4D rides. You've got the cinematic element to it.
You've got your 3D goggles on.
3D goggles on. You're being moved around in your seat.
Yeah.
Other than being squirted with R2D2 oil, you're pretty much there, aren't you?
Oh, totally. For those, 3 minutes maybe? I don't think it's even that. You never come off thinking, that felt like... like Tron was amazing. Tron's an amazing ride, but it's done in 45 seconds.
Right.
It's that quick. You queue for 2 hours for 45 seconds. It's great, but it's not worth the wait for that. So that's one of those rides I've done it now. I'm happy. Star Tours is definitely worth the wait. Definitely worth the wait. And like you say, because they keep adding new locations to it. So we've got Mando and Grogu coming out next year. We know there's an update, an upgrade, or however they want to word it, to Smuggler's Run. They're changing that to include Mando and Grogu in that, which is great. To freshen that up is a brilliant idea. Hopefully they'll do the same to Rise of the Resistance. But certainly with Star Tours, you can guarantee that they will be adding in Mando and Grogu locations. The following year, when Starfighter comes out, they'll be adding in Starfighter locations. That feels like Star Tours was made for that. Yeah. That's going to hook in brilliantly. So I think we've gone from bow to stern on the StarSpeeder 3000.
We've done well.
We've done very well. I'm really, really pleased that we've managed to talk about this ship because we've physically sat in that ship.
Yes.
We've got a kinetic experience with that vehicle.
Yeah.
And the 1000.
And it could easily have been overlooked because it doesn't sort of exist in anything. Well, it does, but its main strength is the fact that it's a theme park ride.
Yeah. There's more now than there has been forever in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Physical portals to enter in the galaxy. We've now got Galaxy's Edge and the rides there. We've got the new experience at Disney in Paris, which you just mentioned, which we should think about doing.
And we will.
But this has been around since 1987 in its 2 iterations.
Yeah.
So this is the ship that's literally taken us to the Star Wars galaxy.
Thanks for listening to Start Your Engines. If you want to be a part of the action and stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news, visit fanthatracks.com and be sure to comment, like and share on any of our social media feeds at Fanthatracks. You can reach out to us and send in your listeners' questions by emailing radio@fanthatracks.com. Subscribe, leave a review, preferably a 5-star one, on Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcatcher or smart speaker of choice. And as always, thanks to James Semple for composing the Fanthatracks intro and our Start Your Engines opening music, Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers, and of course the data miners at Wikipedia. Remember to tune in to Good Morning Tatooine. It's live Sunday evenings at 9 o'clock UK time, 4 PM Eastern and 1 PM Pacific on Facebook, YouTube and Twitch. And check out our Fanthatracks Radio Friday night rotation. It's every Friday night at 7 o'clock UK time for new episodes of The Phantom from Down Under, Planet Leia, Desert Planet Discs, Start Your Engines, Collecting Tracks, Cannon Fodder, and special episodes of Making Tracks, and every Tuesday at 7 o'clock UK time for your weekly episode of Making Tracks.
Coming up next on Fanthatracks Radio, it's Making Tracks.